relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats because your story matters and your heart beats for generations. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Warmer weather, sunny skies, summer is here. At the Walker, this means mini golf is open on the rooftop. Artist-led activations return to the hillside, and the cinema has a series of curated films. It's the perfect time to visit. Gallery admissions are free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org/summer.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 59, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 84. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities, but don't miss out on the chicken, fish, brisket, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit mavericksbeef.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, before I get going here, we have Mark Tilsen, who's a poet, podcaster, and a water protector. We got him on for a couple segments here, and then later on, Wendy's going to give us an update about Rigland Farms and those animals that they are keeping captive. And I just wanted to give people at the University of Minnesota, I was in Nick's class today and had a discussion with some students about the history of Ho-Chunk and things like that, and it was really a good talking circle. And I just want to give a big shout out to Nick over there at the University of Minnesota. Hey, Mark, are you able to hear us here on Native Roots Radio?
Yeah, loud and clear. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, definitely. I can't see you, but I can hear you. Good to have you on. I really appreciate you. I want to say a couple things before we get into what you want to talk about. I want to just say a big Pinigigi thank you so much. I was at Wounded Knee's 50th anniversary, and I got your book of poetry, and also you helped with, let me just grab the book here, Voices from Wounded Knee, 1973, and reprinted that. And I just love that book. And I just want to give you a big shout out for all you did about that.
Oh, it's such an important piece of history. It's such an important document. I grew up with that book, and so like it was like a falling apart, dog-eared copy that was on our coffee table, and like just it was such an iconic um, moment of documenting history as it happens. And I think the reprinting of the book took as long as the actual original printing of the book. And yeah, and we had to, you know, did our best to track down all the original authors, photographers, and did our best to try to sort through. Um, it was made with Akwesasne notes, and the Haudenosaunee are the spiritual descendants of Akwesasne notes, but has a publishing company that's not around anymore. So there was a lot of like, you know, feeling and asking, like, you know, very much trying to feel in the spiritual center, like, we know people want this out there, and it makes sense for it to be at the 50th, and any toes we step on to get this out there, hopefully will be forgiven because we're coming with the best of intent. And
Well, and you definitely did, and I think it was one of the hits of the 50th anniversary. Among all the people that I met that were there for all 73 days, people that I had no idea that were in Wounded Knee. There was one actor that was on Reservation Dogs and did a couple other movies. He was there the whole time, and I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but it amazed me all the people that we kind of see around in community were at such an important event in our Native community life.
yeah, and I also look after Standing Rock and being a grown up, looking at the photos and reading it. It's a very different document. It's a very different book because it's like also even just noticing fashion, and it's like those bell bottoms are looking very Denver, very Minneapolis. Those aren't the regular Wranglers those Res boys were wearing back then. And then you kind of see, like, I remember this very iconic photo of these guys in front of a barricade sitting back to back. And I was like, you're not doing that in the middle of a firefight. You know, there's a photographer there. And you know, stuff that you would never even think about as a young person, as a kid reading it. And then you're looking about it and like, oh no, these guys really understood the media. Like they knew how iconic.
Yeah. And it was like they were passing around the same rifle, the broken down rifle. I heard people were getting pictures with it. And it looked like, you know, that we were all militants, but there was firearms out there too. But I think when you hear stories like that, and that's why it's funny.
Terribly sorry about this.
What are you okay? Mark, are you okay? Oh, Mark's not on right now. But so the book is an amazing part of history, and our guest Mark really Mark had a lot to do with the book. And again, had an opportunity to have Mark's poetry book too, but that's not one of the reasons. But I wanted to give him a quick shout out, and also Mark is doing a podcast. I just realized too with our friend Dallas Goldtooth, and that wanted to turn everybody on to that and how they can get. Mark, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so Mark's not available right now. One of the things maybe you could do, Mark, is leave the whole studio and then come back. Sometimes that resets what's going on with you. If you can hear me, okay, Mark, just leave StreamYard and come right back. Again, some of the things from this book that Mark helped revitalize. It's called Voices from Wounded Knee, 1973. The people are standing up, and it's just an amazing. I think one of the things that when I went to with Clyde offered to take me to Clyde Belcourt, one of the original founders of American Indian Movement. We went there a couple of years before the 50th anniversary. I was really bummed out that they didn't have the church there anymore. Mark, are you able to hear me? That had been torn down because of these pictures in this magazine, or not in the magazine, but in this book and other things. That church right next to Wounded Knee was so iconic, just amazing. And talking about history and being part of history. And then Mark was talking a little bit too about Standing Rock, and I had an opportunity to talk to some students today about Standing Rock, and that's going to be the 10th anniversary coming up. And it's amazing that how much things changed also in 2016, but that's also when the Orange one ended up in as president. So it was really kind of crazy. We were in an upward trajectory as Native Americans and people understanding the plight that's been going on for many years with Native Americans, but also second day that the Orange one was in president, he signed the Dakota Access Bill to let them start digging that pipeline again that so many people all over the world were against, and supporting our neighbors at Wounded Knee and or at Standing Rock. So it was really interesting thing. Mark, are you able to hear me okay?
I can hear you good.
Hey, and I hear you too. Awesome. We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back, and we're with Mark Tilsen, and we're going to talk about some another pipeline here, but I just wanted to give your flowers to you and talk about the great work that you've been doing over the years, and maybe we can talk a little bit about your podcast too with our friend Dallas. That looks really exciting. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho-wa.
Move up in a new career. Metro Transit is hiring bus drivers with paid training, great benefits, and starting pay at $29 plus per hour. No CDL? Metro Transit will help you get one. This is your chance to build a stable career while making a real impact in your community, connecting people where they need to go every day. Move up with Metro Transit. Learn more by visiting metrotransit.org. Again, that's metrotransit.org.
Time is running out to experience Unchi Said So at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This powerful exhibition by Daniel Seawalker shares Native stories rooted in collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold portraits and vibrant color, the work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture and reminds us that sovereignty begins at home. Closing June 6th, don't miss your chance to experience this powerful exhibition. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations.
I'm I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Hey, we are with our new friend, Mark Tilsen, poet, podcaster, and water protector. And again, thank you so much for coming on with us here at Native Roots Radio. We really appreciate your insight and the historic things that you've been doing over the years. So I really feel honored to have you on, Mark, and thank you again. Just to remind you, you're on mute right now, so we'll unmute you and welcome back. Yeah, I was just talking a little bit when you were gone there about how important Standing Rock was, even though it was a pivotal time with the Orange one becoming president. So many great things happened, and I feel like the Seven Fires went all over Turtle Island. Native Roots Radio started as a radio show. We're in our 10th season because of Standing Rock, and Standing Rock was kind of my wounded knee, my generation's wounded knee, and so I appreciated all the work that happened, but I really loved the history too, and again, a big Pinigigi for republishing the Voices from Wounded Knee from 1973.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here. For me too, Standing Rock was one of the most important events I've ever been part of in my life. It was absolutely historic, and we got incredibly close to victory. And, I'm one of those guys, kind of Uncle Ricoing it, like, put me in, coach, we could have won. And, but I spent a lot of time reflecting and learning about, we had kind of around the ideas of like functional levels of trust, functional levels of unity, and understanding that dissension and difference of opinions is only natural, and it's gonna be part of all of our movements. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beat goes on, and I know for me, and I believe you too, right after Standing Rock, Minnesota dealt with Line 3, and that was another thing where we needed our allies to step up, and we were up north in northern Minnesota, the pristine water, the headwaters of the Mississippi, and the attack on clean water again, and Mother Earth.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of the things that was amazing is that like they looked at both in terms of like how to bribe tribal nations, how to like ensnare the local economy, how to really get the local police on board to act as your own security force. Those techniques were like, fairly new at Standing Rock and are now have been standard operating procedure ever since. And so Enbridge learned a lot from DAPL, and I think like if you look at the actual the numbers, which is really interesting, I think there might have been maybe 100 more arrests at Line 3 than there was at Standing Rock.
Huh, jeez. That's crazy. Well, I know, and you were talking about the kind of the bribery of the community, talking about these jobs, and none of these jobs, high-paying jobs, were given to the community. People in the community were not on payrolls. They were getting $20 an hour, holding a stop and go sign on the road, and it was ridiculous. And then also one of the things, remind our listeners too, Mark, that people were up there from all over the country staying at homeless centers so they could save money and working in the pipelines. And so ridiculous things like that were happening in the community after some of them welcomed the Enbridge and the pipeline fitters.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't all pipelines leak, and all pipelines leak and fail eventually. And we have, knock on wood, we haven't seen the catastrophic failure through the new route of Line 3 that we've seen over at DAPL, which has had so many leaks that they've actually they've had to rewrite North Dakota law to report on fewer of them. And yeah, and it's also, it's crazy because I've been fighting pipelines for 10 years, but I'm recently signed on with the Indigenous Environmental Network. I've known about them for decades, worked alongside them for many years. And I think since I started, there's been like this escalation through at least 4 new pipelines. We're seeing the Bridger pipeline. There's a new pipeline extension that's trying to connect the main line of Enbridge to DAPL for a segment, and trying to run tar sands through a piece of the Dakota Access Pipeline. And yeah, Line 5 is on active construction up near Bad River. There's the Zombie pipeline near Santa Barbara, out where the Chumash are. And the pipeline that brings us here today, the Magellan pipeline by One Oak in southern Minnesota. And this is an original pipeline that was made right underneath the quarry, the National Pipestone Monument, the sacred site. Wow. Where almost all of the pipestone in the world comes from this one source, this one quarry for catalanite.
Wow. And it's interesting too, you working with IEN, and isn't that Tom Goldtooth's organization too up there?
Yeah.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with Dallas. I was getting all my information from Dallas when he was at Standing Rock, and his father's been doing it for a lot longer.
Yeah, and I think Dallas up at Standing Rock was very much aware of that role that he played, was like to be the person going live on social media, articulating what's really going on the ground. You got to remember, like, one of the main roles at Standing Rock I wanted to take on was literally just parsing information, because we had so much misinformation and active disinformation throughout that whole time.
Right, correct. And that's why Native Roots Radio started, is because of all the misinformation or lack of information that was coming out of mainstream media, which, was ridiculous. I would go there, spend 4 days, drop off supplies, and come back to the Twin Cities, and the reports were not what I saw, So that's all we talked about on Native Roots Radio the first few months of being on the air, because of all the misinformation. We had people boots on the ground informing us what really was happening. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Mark.
Yeah, I think it's also like one of the pieces of propaganda that we're always seeing is, as part of the tool set, is creating a social media counter narrative. Appears to be now part of that standard operating procedure coming from these security firms that are working for the pipeline companies. Is there seems to be an active intelligence component to the pipeline security, and there's a couple of key things that they've found that will like weaponize the community specifically around resistance camps. Is the idea that the Native resistance camps are littering, and they use Standing Rock as one of the primary examples. And one of the things that people forget is it's really hard to clean up an orderly camp when you're pushed out by a military force.
Right. Exactly. I agree 100%. It's amazing. We got a couple more minutes. I'm wondering if you're going to be able to stay on for just another segment after this, but I always like to hear what a call to action is and what our listeners can do to help support you, Mark, and support what's happening to our quarry, beautiful quarry, and what people can do.
Yeah, I can stay on.
So what do you think some of the call to action is right now that you can let our listeners know?
Right now we're gathering public comments for the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. There's been this whole cultural survey that has happened, and now they're waiting for feedback. Currently, most of the new comments in the docket is actually from people who are been recruited. As I was talking about, has like the pipeline's community assets are at work gathering their public comments as well. And so right now there's a dozen comments or so that is coming out on how needed this pipeline is, how necessary it is, how it's going to help the like literally all the same stories we've been hearing this whole time. It's going to boost the economy. There's going to be more jobs. This is an absolute necessity. And we need people to write comments to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. And I'm going to grab the docket number right here real quick. And one of the things that's
No, I said cool. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll put it up too, and send it out during commercial break, and we'll put it up on the screen too. Yeah, Mark, I just think it's great that you're on top of this and talking about this. We really do need updates of what's happening to our communities all over Turtle Island here. So again, I really, really appreciate you coming on, and let's talk a little bit more next segment about what people can do and how can they find more information about IEN too.
Yeah.
Right on. Hey, so the show's been good for you so far?
So far, so good.
All right. Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hey, we're here with Mark Tilsen, poet, podcaster, and water protector, and we're talking about more pipelines again. So we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Oh, wow. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Warmer weather, sunny skies, summer is here. At the Walker, this means mini golf is open on the rooftop. Artist-led activations return to the hillside, and the cinema has a series of curated films. It's the perfect time to visit. Gallery admissions are free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org/summer.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Time is running out to experience Uchi Said So at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This powerful exhibition by Daniel Seawalker shares Native stories rooted in collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold portraits and vibrant color, the work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture and reminds us that sovereignty begins at home. Closing June 6th, don't miss your chance to experience this powerful exhibition. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Agajengwa, Destiny Gowe Weni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
Move up in a new career. Metro Transit is hiring bus drivers with paid training, great benefits, and starting pay at $29 plus per hour. No CDL? Metro Transit will help you get one. This is your chance to build a stable career while making a real impact in your community, connecting people where they need to go every day. Move up with Metro Transit. Learn more by visiting metrotransit.org. Again, that's metrotransit.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 59, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 84. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities, but don't miss out on the chicken, fish, brisket, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and this is Native Roots Radio, and we are with Mark Tilsen, poet, podcaster, and water protector. And the people watching us on YouTube, Facebook, and X, and Blue Sky, we have up where you can do public comment now, and thank you so much, Mark, for sending that out to us and doing what you're doing. And there's a lot of comments on our social media about the great job you're doing. So again, thank you so much for coming on.
It's important work, and I'm really honored and privileged to be a part of it. And and one of the things that I knew is like, hey, this is our source for pipestone. But I don't think I really understood how, geologically speaking, incredibly rare it is. There is another quarry, I think, in Canada for black catalanite, but for pipestone, as we know it, this is one of the only sources in the entire world. I was visiting with Dr. Alexis Archambault out of Standing Rock, and she said that this particular formation took over 1 billion years for these crystalline structures to form. And like, as long as we've lived on this earth, we've had connections here. And for the Lakota people, our story goes back to Desanwi, the white buffalo calf pipe, who really institutionalized the Chanupa as our primary tool for connection to creation and creator. And like right now is kind of crazy. Is like there's 6 different tribal governments who are participating in the cultural survey that has been ordered by the PUC and implemented by a contractor for the Magellan pipeline. And there's 17 tribes that were asked to be included. And in the national monument itself, there's 23 tribes mentioned. But if you're thinking about how many tribal nations actually use pipestone, you're talking about all of the Lakota, all of the Dakota, all of the Ojibwe, and then you start saying, well, I know Cree who Sundance and use pipes. I know Diné, I know Navajo, I know Choctaw, Chickasaw. Like, you can go through the whole list. Hana Adam, like,
don't forget
Ho-Chunks, you know, them Winnebagos and the Ho-Chunks. Like, yeah, and so it's not just, that's one of the things that I'm trying to communicate both to the PUC and to also other, like, throughout Indian country, is like, this is not a Minnesota issue. This is an issue about Indian country standing up to pipelines, and anybody who uses those chanupas and those pipes as part of our spirituality. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if the Public Utilities Commission in the state of Minnesota really understand the history of our spirituality, of like how it was outlawed by the Code of Indian Offenses for almost 100 years. That that our way of life went underground. Like having a chanupa back in the day was probable cause for being
Right.
a militant, for being a radical, for being a militant, for being an outside agitator, even if you were in your home community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's amazing, and I believe too part of the show and what you do with your podcast and our politicians here in Minnesota that are native, we are teaching people that want to be taught about the native ways and our allies, and like you said, they probably don't even know because of the way they talk about history.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Minnesota had the slightly controversial new flag, but they had to grapple with and took head on and saying like, hey, the iconography of the old Minnesota flag was of an immigrant farmer plowing virgin fields and waving to a Dakota person headed westbound. I was like, it's a very polite euphemism for the genocide of Dakota people and the relocation to Davenport, Iowa, and putting on steamer boats and sent up the Missouri River. That's where my Dakota family is descended from, is from refugees from the Dakota War.
Well, and as you know, Mark, too, I talked about this at the University of Minnesota today, is that Ho-Chunk were removed for the heck of it. And we've had our own 8 Trail of Tears of being moved around all over. And our Winnebago relatives ended up in Nebraska, but many, many people took the canoe ride back up to Wisconsin because they did not want to be removed. But we had great, great virgin land that down in Rochester, I mean Mankato, and it was stolen from us just because we were Native American, and they wanted to get the Dakotas out. But both of us, our tribes, are illegal to be living here in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, I like it. This kind of is one of the things about line 3, and it's also one of the things that I'm trying to get across is like, we're not talking about dealing with one or two isolated tribes. I mean, if you count all of the Ocheti Shakoi and all of the reserves in Canada, that's 170,000 people.
Yeah.
If you count us collectively, we're like the second largest tribe in the entire country. And I don't know what people's appetite is for another Standing Rock type pipeline resistance, but I know the state of Minnesota doesn't want that. And I think that's like one of the things that we're trying to like very rationally tell them is like, hey, right now we're doing this as a matter of bureaucratic process. This is a polite conversation, and we're asking you to be in good relation with our tribal nations. And we're trying to get you to move at an international standard with the United Nations Declaration on Indigenous people and our rights, and trying to understand what free and prior informed consent really means. At the very least, of like beginning and having these nation to nation relationships with our tribal people, instead of like the pipeline company, who's our adversary, choosing to hire their own contractor. Oh, and before I get too far into it, there's some drama there. So the Public Utilities Commission ordered the pipeline company to work with the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council in choosing a culturally informed and appropriate contractor for their cultural survey. And they didn't at all. They made a unilateral decision, disobeyed the PUC order, went their whole way by themselves, and kind of botched the survey. I've been, I would just want to give a shout out to all the people over at Braveheart Society who have been really holding so much of the organizing and so much of the work and strategy. And like I think for the first public comment period, I think it was 2 years ago, we got something like 50,000 public comments during that time frame.
Wow.
And it was an incredible outpouring. And I want to give Faith Spotted Faith Spotted Eagle, like big shout out to them, Iktomi, Dr. Alexis, Elijah, the whole crew out there, and they've been doing incredible work. And right now, like there was an alternative to find both Lakota people and other like people who could have done a cultural survey in a highly competent, culturally grounded manner, and that was never even really considered. And one of the things that's kind of great is you get to see when you piss off an elder and then they translate that into bureaucratic language. I saw Steve Vance, he's the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer out of Cheyenne River, and the way that he responded was just so clear. And he was like, I don't want a pipeline built. And you guys didn't even ask if that was an option. And it was just so shocking and like just absolute, having no ambiguity in language or in clarity. And that's one of the beautiful parts about these public comment periods. Your comments are open to the public. This is one of the few moments in time where everyone gets to be transparent and say to the world and to the state of Minnesota why you don't want this pipeline built. And for us, it's not a matter of simply just a reroute, because right now there's I think it's under a mile is the reroute proposal, and there's an alternative route of 3 miles and another of 5, and it's almost as if they're just trying to say, how far away can we do exactly what we want to do anyways and not upset you? And it's like, you're not exactly listening. You need to have the nation to nation relationship. You need to talk about free and prior informed consent. You need to understand that it's not a matter of just the safety of the Pipestone Monument. It's that these pipelines lead and contribute to the profit margins that are fueling this catastrophic climate change, which is shockingly obvious to anybody. We're seeing unprecedented forest fires. We're seeing storms and drought. And they have no real plan to stop catastrophic climate change. And the very fact that we're even entertaining the idea of building more pipeline infrastructure, and
it's amazing. We got a minute here. How can people follow you on IEN? Is there a website or Facebook that people that are listening can follow you and support you, what's going on, and keep updated? And Mark, too, I'd love to have you come in as often as you'd like to give our listening audience updates, too.
Oh yeah, we got 3 weeks until June 22nd. This is also just for the initial comments. IENEarth.org is our website, and the Indigenous Environmental Network on Facebook, and also Indigenous Rising on Instagram. And yeah.
Wow. And again, we're wrapping up here, and I really, really appreciate you coming on and all the work that you've done over the years. We're watching here on Native Roots Radio, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. An honor to be here.
Right on. We'll see you soon. Hey, up next, Wendy Pilot will be giving us an update on the Riglin Farms and how they're treating our sacred animals and relatives. And so there'll be an update for that. Again, thank you, Big Peeny Gigi Mark. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. That was great.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Why do I keep laughing at that? Welcome back to Native Roots Radio. Wendy's here with our update. This is her update. And I know I just got to say this too. I mentioned this yesterday, but again, people that listen to the show and see me out in public, feel free to come up and tell me how much you like Wendy's segment, which seems like has been normal lately. And so a big peeny Wendy's a founder of this show, and she's been learning so much about our sacred animals over the years. And again, thank you, Wendy, for coming on.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanaji Hihani. That means cares for them. And I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a policy volunteer for Humane World for Animals, formerly known as the Humane Society of the United States. And I work on animal issues at the local and state level. And it's always my pleasure to do that. I have good news. We've been talking about the Rigland Farm beagles in Wisconsin, Blue Mounds, Wisconsin. And tomorrow, another 135 beagles will be released. Yes, we're getting there. So Big Dog Ranch Rescue, they are located in Florida, and Humane Economy by Wayne Pacelli are organizing the release of these additional 135 beagles. We're just thrilled about it, and we're really just excited. I just want to say this Big Dog Ranch Rescue, I was just reading about it, and it's the nation's largest cage-free, no-kill dog rescue. It's located in Florida. So I'm just really happy about the additional 135 dogs. I'm not really sure how many are left at Ridland, but there are dogs still there. The rescue organizations don't get to pick which dogs they get. Mm-hmm. Ridland is just giving them the dogs that I believe are probably, people have been saying, like the least damaged, the least not experimented on. I think those dogs are in pretty rough shape. And I'm hoping that all of the dogs will be released and Ridland will be shut down, and also other laboratories throughout the United States who test on dogs be shut down and not get any more federal funds.
Absolutely. When just remind our listeners too what you're talking about, and also your track too of like going out to this protest with 2,000 people and then feeling like you were at Standing Rock again and getting shot with mace and all the support that
so
people
quickly,
give you.
Ridland Farms is a biomedical breeding facility in Blue Mounds, Wisconsin. They housed over 2,000 beagles, where they bred the beagles to be shipped out to other biomedical labs throughout the United States to be tested on and experimented on. And they do their own experiments at Ridland Farm. So, and they have 311 violations against them for animal cruelty, like doing certain procedures on animals with no painkillers or anesthesia. So these dogs need to come out. They need to get out, and I'm really excited that they are. I want to thank Congressman Mark Pocan for all his work and dedication and support to get these dogs out. Again,
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, Mark Pocan has been really an advocate for our movement and to bring awareness about what's happening at Ridland Farms.
And also, Wendy, you talked about this too. Shoot the governor a message, because he has not seemed to get what's going on. I know he's leaving and he's not running for re-election. And again, I'm glad you brought up Mark Pocan.
So Governor of Wisconsin, Governor Evers has the power to do like an executive order and to release the dogs, all the dogs from Ridland Farm. So give him a call, Governor Evers. Just leave a message. Most of the time, when you call, you don't reach anybody, but leave him a message. They do count the calls, and they know how many people are calling about this. So yeah. The other thing I want to bring up, if you live in Dane County, I want to talk about the current sheriff there, Sheriff Calvin Barrett. So Sheriff Calvin Barrett, he's the current Dane County sheriff, and he talked to his deputies the day that I was there. On what day was that? April 19th?
Oh,
was it?
You're
April,
asking me.
April 19th. So. Well, anyway, it was like 1,500 of us, I believe, showed up.
I think there was more.
Or maybe 2,000 of us showed up to do a peaceful protest and to go in there. We went in there to get the dogs out. And Sheriff Barrett instructed his deputies to tear gas us, shoot rubber bullets at us, pepper spray us, tase us, and really just, they did this to peaceful protesters. I mean,
sounds familiar.
People were singing songs. They had white flowers we were handing to the deputies, and they were pepper spraying us. So the good news is that a gentleman, Jack Ordman, signed up to run for Dane County Sheriff. So he's running against Sheriff Calvin Barrett, and he wants to get the Beagles out. And he just thinks that what Sheriff Calvin Barrett did was just horrible, and so does most people. I just want to say this too. When the dogs were being rescued, the 1,500 dogs were being rescued from Ridland, Sheriff Calvin Barrett put himself in posted pictures of himself helping the rescuers bring the dogs out, like as a photo app, like he's helping the rescue of these dogs. Meanwhile, he tear gas, pepper sprayed, and shot rubber bullets at us. So he's full of baloney, and people are calling him out on this and are really mad about it.
And somebody's running against him, like you said.
So yesterday by 5:00, Jack Ordman had to have 500 signatures of Dane County residents saying, yes, we'll support him. Here's 500. But now what they're doing is they're going back to look at all the signatures, and they're saying that there's some discrepancies with the signatures and that there might not be 500. And of course, right? So anyway, we'll wait and see what happens with that. But I want to wish Jack Ordman success. I hope that they say that yes, you have the 500 signatures, you can run against Barrett, and they need a new sheriff. They need a new sheriff in town, Dane County.
Yes,
they really do. And again, thanks to Mark Pocan. We need these people behind us. I'm just so happy that there's another additional 135 Beagles. That just is just like, if you could just think of like the enormity of that
Mhm.
is, so
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
Let's get them all out.
Yes,
but
we need
that's
to get
great.
them all out. And also, Mark Pocan wrote a letter to Secretary R.F. Kennedy. Yeah, I know. Anyway, well, R.F. Kennedy said that he was going to stop federal funding for, animal testing. Not that he probably cares about animals, but he cares about the federal dollars going to these places. But
Right.
I don't care. Either way, just get the dogs out, stop testing on these animals, and, let's
Great.
make sure this happens. And thank you, our Congressperson, Betty McCollum, because she signed on and she's part of the advocacy for the Beagles. So thank you, Betty McCollum.
Right on. Hey, big peeny gigi to Mark Tilsen and Wendy for your updates. This has been Native Roots Radio signing off today. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then.
Move up in a new career. Metro Train.